Team, welcome back. Welcome back to our day 2 continuation for our basic and advanced QTP training. So here is what we're going to do today. Let's take a quick look at what we accomplished in day 1 and then we're going to continue from there. Alright team. So what we try to focus is on one application called mortgagecalculator.org, and we're taking this application with the primary intent that through automating this application we will learn the most important basics on the VB scripting and how we can slowly take it into a data-driven framework. All right, that is the whole intent of it. And instead of me giving conceptual theories on different areas of what the VB scripting are, I want to show you that here is a practical need and here is why we're doing so and so in customizing that VB scripting. All right. Just give me 1 second, team, and I'm going to be responding to 1 or 2 chat messages for people who are not able to hear me. Okay, so here is a common message for anyone who cannot hear me. Let me send it to all. All right, so that's sent. Now we can get started. So team, what was the overview of what we did? Here's the basic agenda of things, right? So we opened the browser, we went to the application, we started to enter some random values, we clicked on the calculate button, then manually we were able to perform some of these steps, right? So we followed certain steps using QTP to automate them. What were they and what is the progress on them? Let's look at it, okay? And we also went to an extent of automating, or rather answering for QTP some of these questions. How did we do that? We opened QTP, we opened a new test, then no, this is not the steps, this is the steps we will get into for recording side. Okay, after we did that, we started the record process, then we went about manually performing the above steps. Finally, we stop the record, save the test, and then run the test, right? These are the ones that we have performed on the application team, correct? Using QTP. Now let me launch QTP and let's take a quick look at what was left there. So team, at the moment, I'm assuming everyone can hear me. Hope all can hear me, else follow these steps. Savitri and Jayesh, if you're unable to hear me, please confirm back. But these are typically the steps you follow and it should work because the remaining 25-30 participants seem to be fine with it. Yep. Okay, so as soon as we saved the test, it got saved as this MC1 file folder in our Windows folder that we created. So team, what you should try and do is while you're practicing along with me, and very essential team to practice, because trust me that just practicing on what we're trying to learn will make you a very good expert on this tool. But without practice, your concepts will be all theory and there'll be no real value for it for yourself. So do not miss to practice. Give the practice the biggest emphasis. You just have to do exactly what I'm doing, perform them on your application. All right, make sure that that is not skipped in any manner. Now I created a folder in my C drive called QTP, and in that I created this 825 for our August 25th batch. Okay, in that folder I see there's one MC1 file folder. This was created when I saved that quick test professional test. Now if I double click on this, it will show you a few more subfolders and many more files into it. Are these relevant or important for us? Not really. The way it works is, for each test there are various other files associated with it directly. What you should do is, you should go to QTP, and once you are there in your welcome screen, you can go to file and say open test. What this would do is once you browse to the folder, in this case A25, you would see the same MC1 not as a Windows file folder but a different icon where you see the QTP icon, small one, over a file folder, right? Now you could double click that. When you double click that, you would see that this code has been generated from the previous record and we had saved this. The same thing is up right now. All right. So this was the code generated when we did a record, and when we did a run, we found that this was all working good, right? So what did we learn out here? We learned something about comments, which are non-executable code, where I can write my own steps. What is it that each of them are doing and so on, right? Then we also introduced a wait statement. What it does is when I write wait space a certain number, it will wait for that many seconds, whatever number we gave, before it goes on to the next step. That is the purpose of wait, team. Okay, a great guide and help to you as you are learning is your F1 key. So for example, if I want to know a little bit more about wait statement, the way it is structured, I can hit on F1. What that will bring up is your online professional QTP help, not online, but whatever is there already installed with your system. And in that, you would see the explanation in a little more detailed fashion about this statement. All right, team. So with that having said, now let's try and repeat the run that we performed on day one. Okay, so I'm going to click on run and let it execute. We will continue to use the temporary run results folder, because if I don't and I click on new run results folder, each time I run this test, there will be a new folder getting created, which is not relevant to us. Why is it not relevant to us? The reason being very simple. We are currently focusing to master the automation part of it. Once we get to the testing part of it, we can then look at this results folder. Till then, it is not relevant for us. Okay. First we need to automate, master that, then go into the testing part of things. Now let's go back to the temporary run results folder and click on OK. Once I do that, what will QTP try and do? It will try and go through each and every step to execute it. Now let's see what happens. Whenever QTP takes a certain amount of time more than required, what it typically means is that it is trying to perform a step, but it is unable to move forward. So it is waiting to see if that application is still loading up. It is waiting to see if that application is available or the objects within it, as we will explore shortly, are visible to it. Okay. If it doesn't, it will throw a error message. Let's see what happens as we continue to wait. Closing of the help. So I'm just trying to see what happened to my QTP. Okay, it's still trying to perform that step. I know the problem of this, but I'm waiting for the pop-up to come up. I don't know why it is still not coming up. And the reason I want these pop-ups to come up, team, deliberately, knowingly, I will put in more errors. I'll try and put in more errors so that the pop-up comes up and then we try and learn. These runtime errors that we get out of this application are very, very critical for us to understand, master to handle it, and be able to make our tests more efficient as we go forward. Okay, so I'm not getting a pop-up window which says that okay, there's a problem running this test, but I'm going to stop and tell you what the problem is at this point in time. Okay, so test has stopped. It has taken beyond a certain amount of anticipated time, so I didn't know what was happening. So just by using basic common sense, I thought let's stop and see what went wrong. What is happening is, last time when we executed this, my browser was already opened and I was already on that URL. Okay, this time my browser is not open nor the URL is visible. So while QTP was trying to perform the step 2, it could not do it. Why? Because it couldn't see an application where to do it. Okay, so let's try and do the same thing with the application open and then see how can I ask QTP to launch this browser automatically. Let me take the URL, which is already ready for me out here, copy it and put it in here and open up. Now, let's minimize all the windows. Let me bring my application to the forefront and my QTP as well. And now I'm going to try and repeat the run process. Now let's see what happens. See, now it is continuing to perform those, and you'll see those changes happening out here. Right? So QTP has learned to work with the application as long as it is open and it has already gone, or it is there in that current state. Else it didn't know what to do and it was hanging. I expected an error to come up, but it didn't come up. So I just thought, why has it not come up? So I stopped the test at that time. Now, if I want QTP to open the browser and navigate to that URL, whenever I start this run, I am going to put the first statement out here to saying that open IE and go to this URL. All right, that's my intent. Now, through VB scripting, there is a very simple command I can use to do the same thing. And the command is systemutil.run and give a space, give iexplore.exe, comma, the URL of the application that we're going. So how does the statement work? The statement, the way it works is QTP will try and execute systemutil. Systemutil is referring to a certain types of application within your operating system, within your own PC. Okay, those are the utility functions, utility files. It could be a Word, it could be a Notepad, an Excel, a browser like Internet Explorer, and so on. When I say run, the command I'm saying is, now I want to launch that utility program. Then I'm mentioning what is the name of that exe file, that executable file corresponding to that utility program, and that is iexplore.exe. Finally, I gave a comma and I said, okay, launch this browser and then navigate to this URL. Okay. For example, if I write systemutil.run and say, let's say notepad.exe, what this will do is it will launch my notepad after it completes line 3. Why am I using step 4? Just as an example. Okay, just as an example to explain systemutil.run. All right, now I'm going to close my browser and I want to see how this works when I execute it. What was the problem in my earlier run? The problem was that QTP was not opening the browser. I had it open. I had it navigated to that URL. Now we are trying to simulate the same thing using this. Okay. As we tend to use most of these features, you will notice that when we continue to move forward, you will automatically master what is needed and you will start to explore. All the members who had joined, who have already joined the training program, you've been given access to register into the Google groups. I will be approving it. There you can search and see the list of different utility commands or utility programs that you could execute, and what are the corresponding exe extensions for them. What is the name.exe for those utility programs? You can search in the discussion group and you will find it there. All right, team. So that's an enhancement. Before I move forward with further changes, I want to save this file and give it a different name. Why am I giving it a different name? So that it is easy for me to find out what exactly I've done in each day. Even you can go back when you're practicing, you can split them that way and start to watch it. Okay. It is also good because you're doing a version control. If something goes wrong, I can go back to previous version, see what changes I made, compare it, and try and undo some of those changes. All right, team. Now, so far so good, team. So not much done from yesterday. We just used one systemutil.run and we saw that our code is working fine at the moment. All right. Now, what else should I be doing? I want to understand as to how this code is working. What is this browser.page.web button? What is this part? What is this set and so on? Okay, just give me 1 second, team. All right, team. So to do that, instead of me explaining it, let me try and create a scenario where I encounter some kind of a challenge with it. Now, at least can I try and see as to what happened with each line of code? What did this line 6 do? What did this line 8 do? What does this line 10 do? Looking at some of the basic English that is there, looks like it has done something on home value here, principal. I don't know what is RP, probably the loan purpose itself. Is it repayment, refinance, or new purchase? Interest rate, term, calculate, right? So some things seem logical, but the whole thing does not fit by itself. What do I do in this case? What I will need to do is I want QTP to run step by step. Just this waiting for 2 seconds may not be sufficient for me to realize what is happening. And that's where one of your most essential and important factor called as debug comes into picture. All right. What does this debug do? Debug is basically saying that there are bugs or defects possibility in my own code. I want to see how can I eliminate bugs and defects out of my code, and we will come to these concepts as we move forward. So to do that, I have to do something called as a debug run. Okay, debug run, the second option that you see here, step into, will let me execute one step at a time and then be able to see what exactly is being done on the application. If I do a normal run, it will continue to run from the beginning to the ending, just with however long it takes to perform that step on the application and this additional wait. So how do I do a debug? Go to debug and click on step into. Your shortcut key for that is also your F11 key on your keyboard. Okay. Now the same thing, temporary run results, and say okay. The difference between then and here now is it says it's on a break stage. And the yellow icon is out here. The screen has become gray. I don't need this window at this moment, so I will close this. You can re-enable that from a view on your menu bar. Okay. Now, I already have one browser open, and my system util line 3 is not yet executed. When line 3 gets executed, the browser will be reopened. I don't want QTP to know that there are two browsers and then it will start having questions as to which browser to work. So I'm going to close this one. Why did I close? Because I know line 3 when executed will do the same. Now if I click on run, it will continue to do everything again standard from the beginning to the end. But if I click on this icon, which is this shortcut key for step into, it will execute one step, then come to the next and wait. What was the first step? Launch IE and go to mortgagecalculator.org. Next step, let's see what it does. It opened a new notepad. There you go. This was one from this run. There was also another one from the previous run. Now, what does my first statement do? Let's look at what happens on the application when line 6 gets executed. There you go. My home value changed. So this is instructing to put something into home value. Great. Sounds good. Now, let's wait for 2 seconds. Next, loan amount. Okay. Next. Okay, loan purpose reselected to new purchase instead of refinance. Next, I want to set something is 4 out here. Let's see, where does this value 4 go into? Okay, there you go. 4 has come into interest rate. Why did 4 come here? Where did it come from out here? So does it mean that the number, whatever I give here, goes in here? Possibility, probably. We'll have to now explore and see if that's the case. Okay, just 1 second, team. There's one gentleman who's not able to hear me. Okay, so I have to respond back to that. Jayesh, entire team is fine. An issue at your end for some reason. Can you call the training support and find out? All right, so I sent him an apology note and asked him to contact the go-to training support. So team, whenever you face such a similar thing, you can try a few steps that I mentioned, or you can immediately call the go-to training customer support. Sometimes some kind of setting changes could be an issue. Since this is a premium paid tool that I use, they will provide you the required support. You just have to get someone onto the phone with you. All right, team. So let's continue with it now. So we learned that probably whatever I give here goes here. Is it the fact? So let's say if it's 25 here, will I see 25 getting entered anywhere in here? Let's take a quick look. Wait for one, then there you go. Loan term changed to 25. See, it's very important for us not to just know what VB scripting is, how to use, what to use, where, but the whole methodology of moving forward and things. Okay. Then click on calculate and wait. Great. So we learned some of these things by looking at the code and running it in debug. So let's write comments for each of this. What does this statement do, team? Enters or sets the text inside the home value edit box. All right, that's what this step does, correct? So I put a comment as a basic English so that I understand what exactly was happening. And this one was putting it into the loan amount or principal edit box. And this was, what was it doing? Sets the text inside the, what is this? Loan purpose. Team, be very cautious to what I'm writing. And if you see that there is something not correct, then you must mention that to me. Okay. Web edit interest rate. So sets the text inside the rate is fine. We can understand that easily. Then the term. And what did this last step do? It clicked on the calculate button. It doesn't set the text. Click on calc button. Okay. So team, if you have any comment, please start to use the chat. If that doesn't help, that's when I will unmute you. Till then, chat is a good option, please. You're right, Vanita. How about this loan purpose? This one. Is this an edit box? There are different types of objects or elements that you find in an application like a web page. This is a text. This is a link. This is an image. Okay. There is something called as a table, which I'm not bothered, but inside the table I have these different fields. This is a edit box where one can go in and enter a text. Your username or password and so on is an edit box. Here is a drop down list where you can select an item from the collection of items there. For example, when you're registering to any different sites or credit card payment, you will see a drop down list for the state or the country, correct? Those are the drop down lists. Now, this is the loan amount and this is also a drop down list and so on. These are the different types of objects or elements that are present in a web page. Okay. So this out here is not setting the text inside the edit box, but select an item from the list items for the loan purpose, not edit box. It is drop down list. All right. That is the message that we need to put out here. Now, when I did this, great. So I've also realized that if I go here and let's say I change this to 4.35, then this is the new value it's going to take and put here. So whatever I've given here, it is taking that specific value and inserting that into the application. Okay. Let's see. I just randomly changing a few things to see how the application reacts to my inputs. Okay. Let's say 375. This is new purchase. So I will now say refinance. So here, new purchase was one of the items here. Now I want to say refinance instead of new purchase. What am I trying to do? Why am I trying to do all this? Very simple reason. I'm inquisitive to see how does this code work? Okay, inquisitive to see how does this code work. 1 second, team. Let's see. Meena, is it okay for us to delete the test folder? Does it give any problem when we're running the test again? No, it doesn't. So if you ran the test like this and you selected this and your result 1 or result 2 and so on got created, no problem. You can just delete them. It doesn't interfere with your test run next time. Okay. I'm taking very quick questions, but typically I try and halt at the end of logical end. Let's see. Field name captured in QTP different from application example. Yeah, correct. Dinesh, we'll come to it. We're coming to those logical things. Now, I'm interested to explore this tool a little bit more. Looks like there is something common between what we see here and what I see out here. See, I see home value. However, for principal, I see loan amount, and I don't see loan amount. I see rather something called as principal out here. Even this, I see RP. I don't see loan purpose. Okay, I changed this to refinance. Okay, refinance. Now, interest rate. This seems good. Term instead of loan term, then calculate. Okay, how about if I also want, let's say PMI. So can I copy everything from here? Just inquisitive. Okay, copy everything from here, paste it out here, and say dot whatever. What I see here? Set. Okay, uh, and here I want to put, let's say, 0.35. Where do I want to put it? PMI. What should I change? Everywhere this part remained to be constant. So I'm not bothered about that, but I'm bothered about this part, which is the only changing one. Let's say I use this PMI. Okay. Now I have customized this code a little bit further because I was interested to see how it works in the background. Okay. Now if I do a run, what will happen? It will try and execute the whole code. Let's try and do a run and see what happens. Browser launch, this notepad keeps getting launched but I still don't need it. Now let's see. Here is the kind of run error messages that I've been trying to emphasize to you. Your number one training instrument, your basic main tool is your practice. Okay. Now, the other 2 or 3 things that really help you in this practice is mastering this run errors and using that help, online help effectively, plus either our own Google group or searching in the whole wide world of Google on your problems. Okay. Unless you do these few things, team, you will never ever master the tool. Period. You must follow structured process to do this. Now, I do emphasize on some of these very, very important things, team. Otherwise, I'm always on the topic trying to move forward with things on that. Now, what is this? This is a run error. What is a run error? Run error basically is that I have given instructions to QTP to perform certain activities, right? Now, when QTP cannot perform that activity, it gives a run error. In the sense, it cannot run that specific step. It cannot run the test because of that. It will explain to you what the error is and where it occurred. Okay. It is our duty to identify what is the problem, where is it occurring, what could be the possible solution to it, and then try and implement that solution. If it doesn't work, what is the next solution? Okay. Always do not tell me or tell what the problem, what the solution is. Do not go to the solution at all. Understand where it is occurring, understanding what is it that QTP is trying to tell us, and then trying to find a possible solution and repeating these steps again and again till we arrive at a solution. That is the way we should handle this. Extremely important to understand how this works. Now look at this. What does it say? It says cannot identify. Cannot identify. The what I can't identify? Specified item of the param RP object. So let's see what we understand in this. Cannot identify the specified item. Makes sense. It's not able to identify specified item, but from where, which item of the param RP. How does it seem, something that we've recently come across? Yes, where line 13 is already pointing to out here. This is where the error occurred. There's a problem on this line. This is where it is triggering that whole problem back to us. Okay, so here is the one, param RP. Great. Did I do anything here, team, when I was changing the code? Did I change this part where my mouse is moving? Yes, no. No, I didn't. I didn't change anything out here. What did I change? I changed something out here. What did I change from to? It was new purchase. I changed it to refinance. Okay. What type of an object is this? List. Look at my thought process. Look at how I'm trying to step by step identify what all I did, what all happened. Now slowly we will get to possible solutions to it. What does it say? Cannot identify the specified item of whatever object. What is an object? No, not sure yet. confirm that the specified item is included in the objects item collection. Okay, how do you master this? Understanding this, getting this error 20 different times will automatically master it on different types of objects that you keep on working. Now, what is a specified item? It is referring to what I gave out here called refinance. Okay, why can't it find refinance here? I see new purchase, I see refinance. If I put refinance, then why is it that QTP not able to identify it? And it's saying, see that whatever I wrote here is available here. And the reason for that could be probably because I kept a small r out here and there's a capital R out here. QTP is case sensitive, or VB scripting is case sensitive to that level. Okay, there are certain things out here. For example, for weight, I can write in caps, I can write capital W, I can write all small, doesn't matter. But for the names or information that we give inside a quote, it matters to it, to that extent. Okay, so that is the error. That is where it is occurring, and we now possibly also know a solution. What should I do at this point? I can stop this test, change it and rerun it. I can ask QTP to retry it, but it will again come back with the same error because nothing has changed from then to now. I can skip this step and move on to the next, and debug will take me into the debug mode of executing it. So, sorry, at this point, I possibly know the cause for this error. So what should I do? Let me skip. Let me go forward with the remaining things and see, because there are more things that have changed. See what happens with them. So I'm going to click on the skip part. Okay. What instruction I gave to QTP is that just skip that step and go forward. Now what happened, team? I get another error, and this is a very, very critical error for us to solve. This is the foundation, fundamental for everything behind QTP. Okay. What does it say? It says the param PMI. What is the, so team, is there a solution to it? What is the solution to it? You should not be bothered about it right now. You should be bothered about what is the problem, where is it occurring, what could possibly be causing it, and then how can we solve it, and then go into recursively trying to identify a solution until we get to it. Now let's try and identify. We know that it's occurring on line 20. It also displays to me line 20 is here. What it says is the param PMI, the name. Where is it coming from? This. Did I change something here, team? Yes, I added this, correct? Web edit object, web edit. So it's basically referring to this kind of an object where I can enter something into my web page. Those are called as web edit. That's the class name of that object. What is an object? I don't know. It's saying web edit object was not found in the object repository. What is an object repository? Not sure. Check the object repository to confirm that the object exists or to find the correct name for that object. So it is saying there is some object that is missing in something called as an object repository. What is this object? What is this object repository? That's the fundamental foundation to it. At this point, I'm going to stop the test. Okay, and let me explain the basics of objects, the methods, and what all this object repository thing is. Okay, so team, I've taken a white background to quickly do a little bit of drawing around this. Now, everything that QTP tries to do, it tries to perform on items or active or different kind of things that it finds called as objects. For QTP, object is nothing but a browser is an object. A browser, the browser is an object. Okay. In that browser, we navigate to a specific web page, and that web page is another object. Inside that web page, I might have various edit fields, links, buttons, images, and so on. All of these are objects within that page. Okay. Everything that QTP can see and perform on this application, it has to understand where it has to do a certain part, and that is your object. Okay, your objects are nothing but where we can perform certain activities. What are they like? It could be a browser, it could be a page, it could be edit field, and so on. Okay, your objects can have other objects within it. Okay, this could be your page within the object, and then you have other smaller objects within it wherever you go and try and find that. Okay, now every object you can give it a specific name. Whenever we record, what QTP does is it stores two important details of that object in a place called as object repository. What is an object repository? Object repository is a collection or a kind of a bookkeeping methodology for certain types, or not certain, for the different objects that we will work with. Okay, so the first thing it does, it gives that object a name, and it says what is that object. Is it a browser? Is it a page? Is it a button? Or what it is? Then it will identify how can we, it will then list down how can we identify that object. Okay, these are the details that QTP captures and stores them in a place called as object repository. Very simple example that I always try and take is, let's say a team, there is my car is parked in a garage somewhere. Okay, if I want you to go and pick my car as a favor and bring it back home, how will I tell you? I have to tell you that there is my car. Where is my car? It is inside the garage. Where is the garage? It is in a specific town or in a specific street. Where is that street? In this town. What is the zip code? Here is the zip code. So what did I tell you? I told you how you can reach to my car. Okay, how can you reach to my car? That is basically giving where is it that that car is located, how will you get there, and then you can use the color, the model, the make, and so on as the identification to make sure that that is the car. And then finally, once you're closer to the car, you're going to use your central locking to see if it really opens with that remote control, right? That is the where part. Okay, very important part called as where. Once you identified the where, what is it that I've asked you or requested you to do as a favor for me? I requested you, can you bring it, drive that car back home, right? Where to go, then what to do. Where do you go? Go get to my car and drive my car. In the same way out here, I need to mention what is that object or where to go and then what to do on it. So the where to go part of things for an object are mentioned using properties for that object. Okay, the properties for that object. These are like the identification or descriptions of the object. Okay, let's say if my car is a combination of, let's say, Toyota Camry, and it's a red colored car, it's this model, and it's got this alloy wheels, so it's a sports model. It might be enough for you to identify that car. But what if you find more than 2 or 3 models of the same in the same line? Then I have to give you more. I have to give you my license plate number. Additionally, if everything seems to be problematic for you, another identification is your VIN number and so on, right? Those are the identification properties, mandatory identification properties. No one can have my same VIN number unless it is illegally being done, or my license plate number. Okay, then there are other additional properties that can describe it. Okay, properties like the color, the make, the model, the year, and so on, right? Some properties used to identify it, other properties used to further enhance the description of it. Okay, those are the two different types of properties into it. Now, QTP stores the names of these objects and these details out here in the object repository team. All right. Now, the next part after we identify the where is the what. And here is where we perform specific action called as methods. All right. For example, that system_util dot run is what it's saying is system_util is my object, the where thing. Okay. And dot run is my what part, the method. Okay. Now, with this concept, if I go back to my QTP, all that you see here, this part that I highlighted right now is the where. What does it say? The way QTP reads is there is something called as a browser and then there is a name. But where does this store this information team, like I explained out here in this section? Where does it store team? Please answer with the chat team. QTP must remember what this is. To remember that, it has to store this information in a certain place. What is this place called? Correct. It's the object repository. Sorry, when I brought the go to training window up, this got erased. Now, where can I find it? If I go into my resources tab and click on this icon where it has a stack of colors, one over the other, that's my object repository. Whenever I perform a record, QTP automatically not only generates the code, but also creates this repository where it puts down the list of the objects and how can we identify them. All right. The first thing it did is it put that browser called mortgage calculator. It is called the parent object. Okay. Inside that mortgage calculator, that is the name for that object. Okay. I can go and change this name for this object. With this highlighted, I can go here and say, this is not a mortgage calculator browser, this is an IE browser. So why not I say IE8 and just move on or tab next. What happens immediately, team, is all the browsers that were earlier named as mortgage calculator have now automatically got renamed as IE8. These two things, your script and your object repository, have certain amount of linking between them. Okay, but if I go and change something here, so let's say to IE81 or IE82 whatever, it doesn't change here. Okay, it does not change at this part. Now, the reason I'm explaining to you is the significance that the names should match between these two areas. If I, for example, inside this, I'm coming to it, I'm going to repeat that same thing. Inside the IE8, the name, what is it? It is the name of what? My browser. That is the class it belongs to. It is a type. For example, a car is a type. Okay. Inside this browser, there is an object called as page. Inside my car, there is an object called as a dashboard. Okay. My dashboard, I didn't give it a name, but for all practical purposes out here, we're giving this a name. So let's say I change this to page 1. Okay. This text that is displayed out here. If I change this to page 1, okay, or just say MC page, something like that, observe what happens to all the page mortgage calculator that we had out here. What happened, team? Why did it change in only this place, this place, this place, this place, this place, but not here or not here? Why didn't it do it? Why didn't it do it, team? It didn't do it because it couldn't identify what is this IE81. Where is IE81? There is nothing out here. IE82, there's nothing out here. So how will it know that I'm referring to the same thing? It does not want to make a wrong assumption and perform some other wrong step, right? That is the reason it didn't change. Now I have to physically go and make sure that they match. So if this is MC page, I'm going to take the same name and put it out here. It is as good as calling you with a different name. You would never turn back, right? Until I go back and tab on you and say, hey, listen, I was calling you. Then you got to tell me that, hey, listen, that's not my name. Did you get the right person? It's that kind of a feeling out here. All right. So now I have this in a proper order. So these names have a certain linking with them. But if I go here and say MC page 1, then nothing happens. Okay. That's the concept for some of the basic objects. So what I mentioned, in the browser, there is a page. Inside the page, there are other objects. And each object has a specific icon linked to it. And it is common for the same type or class of object. What is a class of object? Every car, all your Toyota Camrys belong to a specific class. They're cars. Further classification, they're Toyota cars. Okay. Now, let's say that you go into inside the car, there's a dashboard. Inside the dashboard, you have the speedometer, and you've got to take a reading out of the speedometer. So where is that object located? My car, inside my car, my dashboard, inside my dashboard, my speedometer. Then I identified the where part. Now what to do? Take the speedometer reading. That is the what part, right? In here, it has the same structure. See, IE8 with an icon like this, like a globe or a planet with whatever, a ring kind of thing around it. Then there's another icon out here like a page, a manual page that you see. Then there is this icon, this icon, this icon. What is this? Calculate. What is it? It's a web button. What do you think it is then? It's a button on the web page. How about this? These are the different edit fields that we have. And how did this get generated, team? This got generated when I did a record. Next, in tomorrow's class, I'm going to show you a fresh record. Then how did it get automatically added? Then we will stop the recording forever going forward, at least till until I need to show you something with the recording feature into it. Okay. Till then, we will only purely focus completely on the VB scripting. Now, as I continue to look forward, these are the different list of the names of objects and their properties that QTP recognized when it did a record. All right. Now, so that once it basically took notes of what to do, where to do, and so on as it went on. Okay. So it kept those details in a certain place called object repository. It kept the order in which it has performed those out here. Okay. So this whole where part is basically as soon as it sees the browser IE8, it will come to the object repository. Search, is there a browser IE8? Then inside the browser, is there a page named MC page? Yes. Is there an object called param home value of type web edit? So it will come here, look at param home value. There you go, of type web edit. Now it takes these properties that are listed out here to find an object matching that description in the application. How does it do it? What are these names and values of these properties? Not yet. We will come to it slowly. Okay, but that is the concept that it has learned. Then it does something called a set. What is set? F1 key. Set is a method that you can perform on an edit box. Okay, where you can go and set a text inside that box, inside that edit field. Okay, so that is a method. All I have to do is say what is that object, where is it located, and then what do I want to do on it. Finally, I'm giving an additional parameter that great. Now set. If I want to set something, I have to put some value into it. The same concept applies to every object. But here I have select. Why? Because the activity or method that we're performing on a drop-down list, if you look at manually also, is we're selecting an item from this list. Right? And we also knew that it has to match whatever is listed there. Right? So that is our select method, which is applicable to a web list. See, this is a web list object. Now, if I continue to come down, I see web button. What am I doing? Am I putting something into the text of web button? No. Am I selecting something from the list of it? No. We're clicking on it. Where are we clicking? On the web button, which is in this page, in this browser. All right. Now, what was the problem that we faced, team? We got an error, right? What was the error? Let's try and replicate that error again. What is replicate? Bring it back. Let's see if we can try and achieve the same result again. I want to see the result, but I'm also interested to see how line 12 works. Will it pass or will it fail? Because I changed it back. There you go. No problem with it. And you'll also notice that it didn't do anything because refinance was automatically anyway selected as default earlier, right? Now, this is my error. I can take this, put it into a notepad, okay, just for the text part of it, and I can stop this test. Now look at what my situation is. My situation is this. The param, now try and understand this sentence, team. The param PMI, what is this, team? What is this exactly? It is it an object? Is it a method? Is it a property? Closely observe my question. My question is, what is this I highlighted? You're right, Ravi. It is the name of the object. Okay? It is the name of the object called param PMI. Okay? If you want to talk to me, you won't call me as a human, or you won't call me as a man. You will say Karthik because you want to talk to me, correct? That is the name of the object. What type of an object it is? It is saying it's a web edit object. So it was not found. Where was it not found? Object repository. Where is this object repository? Out here. So let's try and see how QTP is trying to look. As soon as it comes here, it says, did it say that it couldn't find the browser here? No. Did it say that it couldn't find the page here? No. It said it couldn't find the param PMI web edit object in here. right? So when it was trying to execute, actually this is the line, it was trying to execute, what it does is first browser IE8. Can it find browser IE8 in here? Yes, go here. Next, page MC page. Okay, can it find it? Yes, go here. Then web edit param PMI. Yes, go search here. Searches here, didn't find it, throws the error to us. What does that mean? That object is missing in this collection. So QTP does not know. It performed everything till go to the browser, go to the page. Where? In the application? No, in the object repository. After it gets there, it can go to the application. Till then, it cannot. The reason it didn't add it here is because when we did a record, I didn't enter anything into that object. So then why did it add the other objects here? Because I performed some activity on the other dot here. Did it take this credit profile? No. Did it take the start date and month and year? No. So QTP does not try and capture everything that is there in the application. Only tries to capture what is that you are trying to tell it to capture through that recording process. So at this time, what should I do? I can physically go add the object to the repository or re-record that part and then continue forward. Okay, but my option is going to be add the object to the repository using this add objects to local feature, which we'll explore in tomorrow's session tomorrow. All right, team. So at this time, I'm open for any questions to whatever we have covered on QTP so far. Anything different? Anything on the training part and so on? Offline, please. So the overview is basically been for us to understand how this object works. How does it identify the where part? Then how does it capture the, once it identifies that object out here, where is that object? Let's see. This is a home value. Then how does it take this set of information and tries to go and finds that object in the application? That was the overview of what we tried to learn. Then it could perform various methods on it. Now we're trying to understand why was our own writing of this code hurting us, what kind of error it was doing and so on. Okay, how to add the object? Tomorrow's session. I don't want to start it and then leave it halfway through. That's why I'm taking it tomorrow. Yeah, Uday, I have you unmuted if you have a question.
Perfect question.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay, where does it take the value? Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, where does it take the value like param term, right? Where does it take those values from? I mean, like,
Right.
how does it know this term? Because
Right.
principal it takes from principal. I mean, home value, we know it's home value.
Right.
But RP, why does it take for loan purposes? RP,
Yeah, got it. So, got your question, logical. It's a very good question, in fact. Why does it give this value? Why did it give browser mortgage calculated? Why did it give page mortgage calculated? Why did QTP assign a name to the object? Okay, that's the question. Where did it pick this name from? It is called as a logical name that QTP has automatically picked up from. Where did it take it from? QTP actually went right-clicked on this code, not literally, but that's what it did, and went to that view source. Once it went to the view source, if I can do a control F and say param, open square bracket and say home value and double click, it has gone to this section. Here is my input field of type text. This is the HTML code which is displaying this specific text box, and the name for that in my HTML code is this. There is a default value in it and there is a size for that field. Okay, that is my input box where I can enter values. QTP has taken this information and it has stored some part of this information as a logical name. If this name is missing, it will take some other information and put it there, right? But that is what QTP does. It actually goes to the code of this application and works itself through the code to identify. So hence does you require different add-ins for your .NET or your SAP applications or CBIL applications so that QTP can understand that code and the background. All right, that is the reason it goes through this HTML code to pick up. So that's the reason it takes up the, where it takes up the logical name. We will explore more on it as we move forward, but that's the source of it. Uday, I hope your question is answered. If not, you can re-raise your hand. Rather, also put it in the chat. Either way, okay. Repository is local. Can we have another local location for repository? Yeah. So basically, Meena, you're right. There is something called as repository. I told you about the name, I told you about the class, but I didn't mention what this repository is. Team, I know I'm 2-3 minutes over the scheduled time period. Just give me a few seconds and then we'll conclude. I want to take these important questions, please. It is mentioned as local. Okay, for every test or every action that we're working with, there is something called as a local object repository associated with that action, which is part of a test. We'll come to these things later. Now, as long as the record or add objects, I'm adding it to the local object repository. Then this action, whatever test I have here, and this object repository are married to each other. They're together forever. Okay. If I want to have a shared repository, I could do that, which is not directly associated with this action, but used as and when we need it. Okay. So we will come to that as we get into the shared object repository mode. Till then, we're working with local. All right, Meena, that's the question, answer to your question. Why does it save loan as principal by itself? Yeah, correct, loan. So why does it say principal? So if I go here into the code and say Control F, param instead of form, I say principal. There you go. Here is the text for it, okay, and it had a default value of 250,000. Now, the reason is very simple. This is designed by a developer. So when we get into descriptive programming, even if this application is not ready, if you have access to how the developer is going to write some of the names or assign the names or features for these fields as it gets developed, you can continue to write your code using descriptive programming even without even having or seeing that application itself, okay. Then at the end of it, we do final tweak. We'll come to some of these concepts as we explore further. Sonia, that was the answer to your question. How to add the object? Mahesh, I've answered. Tomorrow's session, please. But the commands wait and run has tooltip parenthesis, but while keying in, we didn't put in the parenthesis. How come the QTP run without any error? Yes. So, Vanita, there is a simple, very, very important concept called as functions and sub-functions. Okay. I will explain this to you later, but primarily it all depends on, do I want to capture something called as a return out of this or not? Keep that same question parked for once we get to functions in the next 2-3 days, and then I will answer that for you. All right, team? Good question. Why does it not take parentheses in some portions? Some portions, why does it take parentheses and so on? We will come to that answer when we get into functions and sub-functions. Team, any other questions, please? Can we change the object name param home value like browser name? Yes, you can and you should. It is not just you can, it's a great practice to always do that. So, for example, param principal. Does it even make sense for us to see this? Where did it come from? It came from QTP to the application automatically because itself it's logical. But it doesn't make sense to us. So, if I change this to more like home value, it seems more we are able to talk to it more directly. It's not actually home value, it is principal, right? It is the total, not even principal. Home value, loan amount, I guess. Loan value, okay? So I change this to loan value. Now it is, when I read through this code, it looks more readable for us. Yes, you should actually change this as a good practice. We will get into it. And we didn't have to give the system util command. We gave the system util command. I didn't keep that notepad.exe because that was just an experiment for us. In the last session, we used run and record to open the browser. And we didn't have the system util command. Yeah, okay, so Sonia, I got your question. Yeah, because last session, what I did is I kept the browser open. Then I started recording. Then I was running it. So I never closed the browser in this transaction, in that transaction there. So since now, either I have to open it manually or I have this instruction through the VB script that I can launch the browser and go to that URL. All right. All right, team. Sorry, went extended, but felt it was important to cover some of these concepts before we move further. So we'll see you back tomorrow. All the best with your practice. Hope you all received the QTP 10 download link and ready to practice. Any questions? Training related, videos related, and so on, feel free to write it back to sales.elearn@gmail.com. Anything specific to your practice level, search the Google group, which will get approval to by tonight my time. And if you don't find an answer there, post your question in there. All right, team? Yes, QTP supports IE8, IE7 also, but I would recommend IE8 strongly. IE6 also, but IE6 isn't that great. All right, team. Thank you everyone for being here. We'll see you back tomorrow, same time. Take care, everyone. Bye now.